A very good morning to one and all. And in this class, I'm going to explain about context-free language closure properties, CFL closure properties. And here we're having some of the properties of the CFL. And let's see what are those. The closure properties that results to, and though the context-free languages are closed under. The first one is an union, and the second one is an concatenation, and the third is an clean closure operator, and the third is an substitution. A fourth one is in substitution, and the fifth one is in homomorphism, and the next is an inverse homomorphism, and then finally it is an reversal. And here, all the context-free languages are not closed under these three. What are those three means? Intersection, difference, and complement. And context-free languages are not closed under intersection, difference, and complement. And those are closed under, we're having six to seven properties which are closed under the context free languages, and we are having three properties which are not closed under the context free languages, right? And here we're having a note for this. What the note is, all the regular languages are closed under these operators. And the regular languages means, in unit number 2 I explained you the closure properties of regular languages, right? There we learned about the regular languages are closed under intersection, those are closed under union, those are closed under difference, those are closed under complementation. But while coming to the context free languages, those are not closed under these three. Make a note of this. Which are closed under the regular languages, the first four, like the first three, intersection, difference, and complementation, these three are not closed under the context free languages. While coming to the regular languages, these three are closed under the regular languages. What it means is, there at the time of the learning the concept of closure properties of the regular languages, there I explained you about union, concatenation, intersection, difference, complement, clean closure, substitution, homomorphism, inverse homomorphism, reversal. All those I explained there. But the same things I'm going to explain under the context free languages, not under regular languages. But here, while comparing these two, the context free language and the regular language, here we're having some difference between these two. What the difference is, the context free languages are not closed under the intersection, not closed under the difference, and not closed under the complement, as which are closed under the regular languages are not closed under some of the properties are not closed under the context free languages, right? And these are the proofs. Strategy for closure property proofs, here we're having. First proof is for closure under substitution. Substitution, I think you all know, you're replacing one in another, and that means using the result, we are going to prove other closure properties like uh, the properties like an union, concatenation, clean, and homomorphism, and inverse homomorphism, and reversal. First, we are going to prove the substitution, and based on these proofs, we are going to show that the context-free languages are closed under these remaining all, like an union, concatenation, clean closure, and then homomorphism, inverse homomorphism, and finally reversal, right? And first, what you are going to learn is here just knowing about the proof of the substitution. Then after that, knowing the proof, first knowing the proof of the substitution, then after that you are going to learn union, and it is merged with the homomorphism and inverse homomorphism, and then concatenation, and then clean closure, and then finally reversal, right? Now it's time to know the proof of the substitution operation. Substitution is one of the property in context free languages. See, and for each small a is a terminal, right? The terminal that is belong to the sigma. Sigma is nothing but an input alphabet. Then let S of A be a language. S is nothing but a substitution. S of A is a substitution of A. Be a language. If we are having a string like W is equal to A1, A2, so on, AN, where that string belongs to the language L, then what you are going to prove here is S of W is equal to x1, x2, and it should belongs to S of L. And what we are going to show, that is xi belongs to S of A, right? And that's the thing that we are going to prove here. And you need to make a note that S of L is nothing but a substitution language, and we can use a different alphabet for that. So S of W is a substitution of string, and it should always belongs to the substitution of the language. And we are going to show that some string of xi is belong to some string of some substitution of a, right? And that's the thing we are going to show now. And here we're having an example for that. Let's see the example, then you can easily understand how to do the substitutions. Let sigma is equal to, sigma is an alphabet symbol, a 0 comma 1. And now let us assume that s of 0 is equal to a power n b power n, where n is greater than or equal to n is having the condition with greater than or equal to n. And first initially the substitution of 0 is this one, and the substitution of 1 becomes a b b, and this is the substitution of 1. So if w is equal to 0 1, then how the SW can be written as? SW can be written as S of 0 into S of 1. What the S of 0? This a power n, b power n, where n is greater than or equal to 1, right? The value of the n starts from 1. And what S of 1? B, right? So SW contains now a power 1, b power 1, comma, a power 1, b power 1, B. That means we are doing the multiplication between these two, right? So like that, a square b square a square b square a cube a cube b, a power 4 b power 4 a power 4 b power 4 and so on like that. So this we can call it as a substitution operation, right? And before taking the input in the form of SO, S1, S0 and S1, and knowing the string of 0, 1, and now you need to show that S of W. S of W can be written as S of 0 into S of 1. Is it clear now? This is the way of proving the substitution operation. And now we are showing that the context-free languages are closed under the substitutions with this statement. If L is a CFL and a substitution that is defined on L, where S of L is, and then we need to show that S of A is a CFL, and for every symbol A, then finally S of L is also an CFL. That's the statement you need to define. And after knowing the proof like this, just knowing the statement and then showing with an example how to substitute the operations, then finally we can say that the context free languages are closed under the substitution. When if L, where the language is in CFL and the substitution that is defined on L, then it becomes S of L, right? Then what you are going to show there? I am going to show the substitution of an alphabet. So S of A is a CFL. And then finally, what I need to prove that S of L is also an CFL, right? When the string is in CFL, when the alphabet is in CFL, then automatically the language also becomes an CFL. And see here we're having an example for that. What is S of L? L is nothing but a language, right? Like where it consisting of set of strings W1, W2, W3, W4, so on. So from there we are defining S of L, right? And how to define it is only L, and by while defining the S of L, the substitution of L can be written as S of W1, S of W2, S of W3, S of W4 and so on. So what it means is each S of W, it is S of W is itself a set of strings, is itself a set of strings, then automatically the closure it is closed under the context free languages. Now this is an example for this. The context free languages are closed under the substitution. And let's see the example. And now I'm taking in Z is in context free language, where Z is an VTPS. I think you all know how to define the Z. Z is defined with an 4 tuple machine. V, T and PS is a context free grammar for L. For L is a language here, because every S of A is a context free language, right? So whenever we are defining the L, then you need to define the substitution of an alphabet. Why? Because the alpha from the alphabets we are getting the strings, then we are defining the language, right? So there is a CFG for each S of A, and let what the ZA will becomes VA, TA, PA, SA. That means just we are giving an alphabet to all the words under the suffix. So what we need to construct now, here the given input is an z, then what we need to construct is we need to construct an g dash. Then what the g dash is, g dash will become, g dash is equal to v dash, t dash, p dash and s dash is not, no, we're not having s dash, s is same, s is same, the starting symbol is same, right? Starting symbol should be same. So what p dash consists of here, and p dash is, p is nothing but an productions, right? You all know what the p is. Now p dash is p dash that we're constructing for the g dash. So p dash the productions of p, but with every occurrence of terminal a in their bodies, those are replaced by sa. And then all the productions in any pa for any a belongs to sigma. And this is the uh, proof that we are showing that the context free languages are closed under the substitutions just by defining with the four tuple grammar with n g is equal to vtps. It's the way of proving, it's the way of showing that the everything is under the context free language, right? So this is an parse tree for the g dash and starting with an s, and here we're having some sa1 to san. That means the tree structure starts with the root node s, and it is having the child nodes of sa1 to san. Sa is nothing but a substitution of an alphabet a, right? Substitution of an alphabet a. So, and this is an example for the substitution of an cfl. Once all of you see the example, and here let L is an language of binary palindromes. And what we need to show that here is you need to show that the substitutions for 0 and 1 are defined as follows. And we need to show that the substitutions of zeros and ones, and what the substitution of 0 is a power n b power n where n is greater than or equal to 1, and the substitution of 1 is sorry, xxyy. So what you need to prove here is you need to prove or you need to show that s of l is also an cfl, right? First, initially, you need to consider the grammar for the given language. A power n, B power n. I think you can make an assumption that it's 0 power n, 1 power n like that. And the condition for the n is greater than or equal to 1. So for that, how to write the context-free grammar is s tends to 0 as 0. This is the context-free grammar. This is the context-free grammar that we written for the given language, right? So s tends to 0 as 0, 1 as 1 or epsilon. So for that, for the context free grammar, we are defining with the s of 0. So s of 0 is a s0 b or ab, and for that we are defining s of 1. What s of 1? Xx or yy, right? S1 is xx or yy. And here my question is the language of palindromes. Palindrome means, I think you all know what the palindrome means. The, if you take a word like an 010, then if you do the reverse of that string, then you should get the same thing, right? 010, that's we can call it as an palindromes. So my language is an to binary palindromes, right? And so this is the language for binary palindromes, and this is the context free grammar for the language uh, binary palindromes, and this is in context free grammar for s of 0, this for this one, a power n, b power n, and this is for the context free grammar for s of 1 where it is xx and yy, right? Finally, what the context free grammar for s of l is, by merging all these, then finally you get s of l. Merging all these, then finally you get s of l. In the place of 0, just I am putting s0, s0, s1, s1. So you get an context free grammar for the language. So finally you prove that s of l is also an cfl. This is the way of proving for the substitution of an context free language. Please make a note of this example. This example is most important. If the question is for 2 marks, explain or list out the properties of context free languages, means just know, write down the names of the properties, it's enough. But if the question is just prove that or show that the substitution is closed under CFL means you need to prove like this. Just by giving the statement and by taking an example, you need to show it like this. Just make a note of this. And then now let's see how the context free languages are closed under union. And it is one of the most important property for the both regular languages and for regular languages and the context free languages. Just showing that how the context free languages are closed under union. Let L1 and L2 be the two context free languages. And what you need to show here is you are going to show that both L2 union L2 is also an L1 union L2 is also a CFL. That means let us show that by using the result of the substitutions. What the result of the substitution is? S of L is an context free language, right? And the result of the substitution is, now you need to make a new language like L new, and it is AB, and then you need to show that S of A is equal to L1 and S of B is equal to L2, right? Now what the S of L new is same as L1 union L2, right? So a more direct alternative proof for this is like both S1 and S2 be the starting variables of the given grammar for the language L1 and L2. Then what will happen? S new is equal to S new tends to S1 or S2. S new tends to S1 or S2. So that's the way of showing that the context free grammars are closed under union operator or union property. Now the context free languages are closed under concatenation. If you know how to write the union L1 union L2, and just by you know how to show that how to represent the union operator, it is enough for proving the closures, proving that those are closed under the context free languages. And now it is concatenation. Concatenation means L1 L2, right? L1 L2 is equal to L2 L1. You need to show that L1 L2 is equal to L2 L1. So let us assume that the both L1 and L2 be the context free languages. Now we are showing the showing by using the result of substitution here, right? So again you need to make L new. What the L new is AB, and what you need to show that L of A is equal to L1. Sorry, S of A. The substitution of A is equal to L1 and substitution of B is equal to L2. So then what L1 L2 will be S of L new, right? So that's, if you write these three statements means it is enough for showing that the context free languages are closed under the concatenation. So finally you need to show without using the proof of the substitution. And clean closure, the context free languages are closed under clean closure. Let L be a context free language means what L new will be Clean means star representation, right? So A star. Just make L nu is equal to A star. And what S of A will be? S of A is equal to L1. Then what L star will be become S of L nu. So that's we proved that it is unclean. So the context free languages are closed under the clean closures. And for this reversal, we won't use the proof of the substitution. Make it clear. For reversal property, we are not using the proof of substitution. And let L be a CFL with grammar G is equal to VTPS. Then what L of R will be? You need to construct G power R. That means the grammar reversal. VT, the production should get reversal, not the variables and the terminals and the starting symbols will not get reversal. Only the productions will get reversal. Then you need to show that the production A tends to alpha is in P. Then again, further reversal, you need to show that A tends to alpha power P is in P power R. A tends to alpha power R. Alpha power R is production reversal is in P power R. So that is reverse every production. You need to reverse every production. And this is the proof for reversal. And here for the proof of reversal, we are not using the substitution proof. Right. And the substitution, first why we do the proof for the substitution means the resultant of the substitution that we are using for the remaining properties, not for the reversal. For the other remaining properties, we are using the substitution proof, right? And the context free languages are not closed under intersection. These things also you need to learn. Why it is not closed under the intersection means, let's see the existence proof. L1 is equal to 0 power n, 1 power n, 2 power I, where n is having the condition and I is having the condition. And L2 is 0 power I, 1 power n, 2 power n. N is having the condition and I is having the condition, but the both L1 and L2 are CFLs. And what the grammars will become here. And this is the contradiction that we are having. The L1 intersection L2 cannot be an CFL. Why? Because means intersection is not closed under the context free languages, and as well as it is not closed under the context free grammars, right? So the same context free grammars are not closed under the complementation. Once it is not closed under the complement intersection means from the intersection we are getting the complement, right? So we are just following the fact of the intersection, and there the intersection it is not closed under context free languages, and same the impact will be uh, done for the complementation. So here the negative closures will getting the results. So for that what we're doing here is just we're showing that it is not closed under the complementation. So here we're having a logic for that. What the logic is, if the intersections were closed under complementation means the whole right hand side becomes an CFL, because it should be closed under union, and also the left hand side is also an CFL. It should be closed under intersection. But what we just showed that not closed under the intersection, but it can closed under the union. So finally what we are going to conclude that is the CFLs cannot be closed under complementation. And the third one, it is not closed under the difference. Here also we're getting some negative closure results. So for that, to show that it is closed under the difference means it should closed under the complement. So at the starting itself we defined that it is not closed under the complementation, so automatically it is not closed under the difference, right? So what the L complement is, the sigma star minus L. So L complement has to be CFL, two contradiction here. So we're having some decision properties: emptiness test, generating test, reachability test, and membership test, and then finally PDA acceptance. And undecidable problems for the CFL is, for example, is a given context-free grammar G is ambiguous, and is a given context-free language inherently ambiguous? Is the intersection of two context-free languages are empty? Are two context-free languages are the same? Is a given L of G is equal to sigma star? Right. All these are all the undecidable problems for the CFL. Undecidable problems means we can't decide which is correct and which is wrong, right? And whether it is an ambiguous or unambiguous, whether it is inherently ambiguity or inherently unambiguity, whether it is intersecting two CFLs empty or not, whether it is the CFLs are same or not, whether the given language is equal to the sigma star or not. So these are called as an undecidable problems for the context free languages. So here, up to now I explained you about the closure properties and as well as the decision properties. I think you all understand the today's class. And here we're having 6 to 7 closure properties. Those are under the context free languages, and 3 properties that are not under the context free, not closed under the context free languages. And coming to the decision properties, you need to show that it is empty test or emptiness or finiteness, like that. This the thing I already explained in the unit number 2. Emptiness test means you need to show that whether it is an generating test, whether it is generating or whether it is reachability. Whether it is generating the terminals as in strings or not, whether it is reaching from the starting symbol of the given grammar or not. So these two tests we need to prove that. And membership test means in unit number 4 you can easily understand how to show the PDA acceptance. PDA is nothing but an push down automaton acceptance. And with this I completed the concept of closure properties of context free languages as well as the decision properties. And the most important concept that we're having in this unit number 3, that is pumping lemma for context free languages, and that's the concept I will explain in the next class. And but I think you all understand the today's session, and I think you all understand what the properties, closure properties of the context free languages are there, and which properties comes under the context free languages and which properties does not closed under the context free languages, and how to prove the generating test and how to prove the reachability test. This the two tests like generating and reachability I explained in the past classes, because there I told you that how to check it out whether it is generating, how to check it out whether it is reachability or not, right? And I think you all understand the today's class. If you have any doubts you can ask please, and the pumping lemma concept I will explain in the next class.